What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So very much red day. I do want to talk about what everyone is wondering. How low can Lucid go? So I'm going to give you my hypothesis and kind of where I see things going in the short term worst case scenario. But before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships. Link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, let's get right to it. So full disclosure, just want to say I'm a very big bull. I clearly have a long-term investment plan with Lucid. So at the end of the day, I know that it can go down, it can go up. So I'm a long-term investor. Just keep that in mind. So anything that I say doesn't mean I'm selling or I'm negative on the stock. I just like to give the good, the bad, and the ugly. And sometimes the ugly does suck. As you can see on the price, live ticker to my left, almost down 7%, 7.3 million as far as overall volume, 35 is the average, and 497,000 shares being purchased by institutions and hedge funds just today alone. So clearly there is a lot of fear out there. I'm just going to talk on a couple points why we're going down as much as we are before I go over how low it can go. So technically there was some economic data that did come out. New home sales extremely low, but in my opinion, at least, I'm just looking at the previous was 709,000. The forecast was 750,000. At the end of the day, I don't know where they got that 750. I think that's just setting themselves up for failure, because we all know that as far as inflation, things were going up, commodities were going up, especially wood. You need a lot of wood and other supplies and materials to go into building a home. So the fact that they're anticipating an increase despite everything that's been going on, I feel that is a little bit wrong, especially for whoever does set that forecast and determines that. I think that's just, again, setting themselves up for failure. So just take that how you see that. But again, this is what's causing and sparking a little bit more fear in the market, in combination with overall just fear of inflation. Morgan Stanley has been chatting, a lot of other banks and institutions have all been chatting about recessions, blah, blah, blah. So that at the end of the day, it just goes hand in hand. A lot of negative things from institutions, especially, like I said, as far as economic data isn't really helping anything. So overall, it is what it is. I'm going to talk on some data points as well. So looking at the options activity, despite everything, there's been a lot of good calls being purchased. And overall, this hands down, like I've always said, I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence, but days like this, very much red days, are a very good day to buy calls. So you can see clearly someone is taking that to heart and really buying a lot of calls. But despite that as well, a lot of big whales have been buying a lot of calls. So you can see $19.50 strike price as far as a expiry date 10 days from now. So clearly they're anticipating a nice rally, a nice backwards reversal, and they're definitely not small orders at all. So these were all done today as well. So 214,000 as far as a premium, 162,000, 54,000, and 111,000. So clearly a lot of people are anticipating that 1950 is going to be as far as the minimum where we're going to be at in 10 days. So again, these are very good days to do options, especially considering if you feel that a recession is not coming, it's just a lot of fear. It is what it is, right? That's been lingering for quite some time. Inflation, interest rates, and now recession. Everything is just there to cause us a lot of fear. So despite that, you need to find good companies to invest in the long term. Like I said, especially with Lucid, has been having a crazy amount of good news coming out for it. But again, make sure you do your own due diligence at the end of the day. And with that, I just want to pop over to Interactive Brokers. I do always like to talk about the sentiment because I'm a big believer in that. And as of late, it does look like it is very much negative. So clearly, even during red days in the previous couple of weeks, it was oddly still positive. People knew that there was a lot of potential with Lucid, a lot of good news coming out, but clearly people are just getting hit. And obviously, all that good news is really not amounting to Lucid going to the moon, what a lot of people are expecting, especially when there is a very much a bear market going on. It's hard for stocks to go up despite good news. So just take that how you see that as well. And so with all that, just going to go over some technical analysis. So right now I have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So momentum, you can see, I'm just going to pop it right here so you can see momentum. Number of buyers is down substantially. So number of retail investors are down. And like I said, the live ticker are on my left. This is why I like to piece together a lot of different analysis and kind of gives you a projection of what is happening. So the fact that volume is so low means that institutions are just not even touching Lucid right now. Similarly, like a lot of retail investors, like I already pointed out with momentum indicator, and stochastic is relatively high at 73. There is no defined trend. It's starting to have a little bit more of a bearish trend starting to form at least. So red line above the black showing a little bit more of a downtrend about to happen. RSI is also at 44, but on the actual chart today we are transitioning from the higher to the lower percent of the Bollinger Band, anticipating more downtrend. So clearly on a technical stance it does match the broader market. It does appear though that we are trending downwards, and looking a little bit more in the Fibonacci. So right now these are the points to watch for. So again, we are at $17.23 exactly at that S1. Hopefully 9 times out of 10 we do bounce off of that and continue to stay within the S1 to the pivot point. But if we do break below that 17.27 and officially close below that, then anticipate between 15 and 17 is very much realistic. But at the end of the day, if there is so much fear out in the market and the next Fed meeting isn't until June, and I always see a lot of relief around that, especially post that, after they give a lot of good feedback and advice on what they intend on doing, because right now the market seems to overreact on a lot of different things, and they seem to, for the most part, calm us down. At the end of the day, if that is the true case, then most likely, I believe it's either June the 12th or the 15th, that might be the next relief moment for the broader market. So if that is the case, then most likely we will actually be between the S3 and the S2. So between around $12 and $15. And we all know, technically looking based on what previously happened, $13.25 was a extremely strong support for us. So again, worst case scenario, I see us around the $13.50 mark to the $14 mark. Again, this whole video is worst case scenario. I don't see this happening. If it does happen, I'm going to definitely buy. Similarly, what happened then, I bought in at $13.96 and also at $15.10, I believe, or $15.01, one of those. But regardless, it comes down to the point, this is again worst case scenario if there is a huge amount of fear for recessions, which at the end of the day, I know, cycling back to this, a lot of people focus on economic data, and for the most part, one thing that has always saved us is consumers. Consumers are still spending money. Consumers are still working pretty heavily. So at the end of the day, I still feel unless we get a little bit more bad news coming from consumer standpoint, then this is just, in my opinion, a little bit more of an overreaction. So take that how you see that. A lot of people see things as different ways. Clearly, a lot of people are not really liking this new home sales things, but when it came down to it, like I said at the very beginning, I feel 750 was a little bit overdone considerably. So just take that how you see that, and let me know your thoughts on where you see the bottom for Lucid given all this kind of downtrend that is happening, or if you think this is going to be the bottom and we're going to trend higher tomorrow. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different ways, but like I said at the very beginning, it is all about your time horizon. If you are a long-term investor, take advantage of these very cheap prices, learn how to do options, because selling puts and buying calls on very much red days are very much beneficial. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But with all this said, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.